Hey you guys, welcome to another gardening video. Thank you so much for joining me today. This video might be a little hodgepodge. I know I have not been posting as frequently. I am actually in the process of revamping my YouTube channel. I'm hoping to talk about that at some point in the next couple of weeks. Anyway, it is November. We are in my front yard and we are going to be doing some fall cleanup. So pulling out summer annuals, cleaning up some leaves and planting some bulbs. All right, we're going to clean up all these annuals. I always cringe a little bit pulling out annuals, but these are ready. This front bed right here is right at the front of my driveway by my mailbox. Since I have pretty much fully shaded yard, this spot right here gets decent amount of sun, so I wanted to take advantage of that. So I am working on the process of transforming this into a full sun bed. In a little bit, you guys will hear me talk about the planning and process of that. Like I said, you guys, I am kind of in this transitionary period where I don't completely know what I'm doing even. And right now I'm doing a voiceover, but I am working on transitioning over to having a microphone as I do my tasks, since that is going to make the editing and posting process so much more fluid. Doing voiceovers in a video essentially takes twice as much time. If I want to keep posting consistently, it's just not gonna work out. So I am transitioning to trying to use a microphone as I film. Oh my God, guys, I am dead. Here's a little look at the current project I'm working on. Large bed that would be part sun, full sun. Only sunbed I will have in my yard. There used to be trees in this area and up here. Still lots of trees in the yard, but we had like 10 removed. This is kicking my ass a little bit. This is not fun. So basically I'm digging up to a certain point where it's like the plants have enough room to root in the ground. So what I've done to help me visualize this space and planting is I'm using these old planting containers and I labeled them with what is potentially going there. So basically I set these up so I can really visualize how it's gonna look with what plant. I put a note, and some of them I even put like gonna get 4 feet tall, just so I can remember what's there. And essentially where this giant root system is where I plan on moving one of these butterfly bushes. And so tomorrow, hopefully, I can get enough of this out of the ground. This is a lilac. These are butterfly bushes, which I'm going to move because I think these 3 things are too large. You can't even hardly see them in the camera, but they're too large and I planted them too close together. So I need to spread them out a little bit. Leaving the lilac in the back as like the tall focal point. We got these annuals cleaned up so I have a better idea with the space that I'm working in. But yeah, I feel rushed and like, ugh, I gotta get it done. The plants are chilly. All right, we're gonna go finish some of my annual cleanup. It's starting to get dark. We're gonna get up there and tackle those, wow, my brain, window boxes. So let's do it. Oh, some of these are still alive. All right. It's always so sad. Sorry, boy. Okay, and on to the next. Oh my God. All right, it is actually the next day now and I am back at the front of my house at that mailbox sunbed, and I am working on putting some landscaping fabric down. So essentially, after I had the ground all tilled up, my husband Sam used the rototiller on this area. I want to make sure I black out as many weeds as possible, so I'm using the landscaping fabric and cutting it out just so they can go around the shrubs and plants that I already have planted in here. And then what I am doing at the front of this bed is digging some trenches for some tulip bulbs. This bed lines, you'll see like the concrete curb goes right up to my roadside. So I can't remember what varieties of tulips I got, but I'm going to put up on the screen here exactly what I got. I know I went with more of a pink and orange peachy color scheme this year. And then I'm just using a little bit of bulb tone, sprinkling that on top before I cover with soil. And I use, since my like in-ground soil isn't the best, I use like good quality bagged soil mixed in with my natural soil just to make sure everything's getting enough nutrients. And now we are in a different part of my yard, and we are planting more tulips and some daffodils. This area is what I am going to be calling my signature shade garden. So I don't think I've shared any of this area on my channel at all, but at the end of the video, I do want to give you guys a little bit of a rundown since this is a work in progress. So stay tuned for me to show that and explain the area a little bit better. And I got a new auger this year specifically for bulbs. Here is the type of tulips that I am planting in a cluster, and then I'll also put a picture of the type of daffodils. So I did those like clustered together. And then after the holes were drilled, it was pretty easy just to pop the bulbs in there. But like I said, that soil is pretty tough to work with. And using bulb tone and then putting quality garden soil on top of it. And now we are planting some bleeding heart. There was lots of bleeding heart in my yard when I first moved into this house, so I have been able to split all of that up, and now I have tons of bleeding heart plants all around my yard. So I pulled this out of the backyard and wanted to add some to this shade garden here and create a nice little cluster by the daffodils. Bleeding hearts are always one of the shade flowers that I recommend to people. I love them so much. They're so unique. They're so pretty. And then I am going in with some mulch to completely cover the areas that I worked in, just to make sure everything is tucked in for the winter time, and it'll just make everything look a little bit more neat and tidy, and making sure all my mixed dirts and cardboards are covered up. to give you guys a little rundown on this signature shade garden path that I'm working on, where we just planted the tulips and the daffodil bulbs together. So this has been my work in progress. This flower bed was here when we moved in the house, but it was very like unmaintained, still like woodsy. The main thing that's in here is Pachysandra. So this whole section right here is all Pachysandra. There's some Pachysandra here. And essentially what I'm doing is sculpting out this like walkway through here. And obviously there's some trees. So of course, like plants that I'm putting in here are very shade tolerant. So this is like what's gonna be the beginning of the path, and it's gonna wind through and it is gonna come out on the other side over here. So I'm just gonna show you guys what I've done so far, talk about what I still plan to do, talk about what was already here. In general, this looks like really bad right now because it's almost winter, but oh my gosh, you guys, next spring, from all the work that I've put in over this summer and this past fall, this spring, this place is gonna shine. It's gonna be gorgeous. So stick with me, you guys. It's gonna come together. Gotta trust the process. This is an azalea bush that was here when we moved in. So that I kind of used to mark the entrance of what this little pathway is gonna be. This is my favorite azalea in my whole yard. The shade of pink, it's like more of a hot pink, like red tone pink, Barbie pink, which is like my favorite, as opposed to the azaleas over here. Those were also here when I moved in. They are all more of a blue tone pink, like fuchsia. And we'll move in here. Two things that I just added over here. This is a spirea. Has just a little new growth on it. I moved that from my backyard up here. This is a little boxwood that I will prune into a little ball shape. This is also a boxwood that I added here. These were left over from a different project and I had gotten too many. So I figured this would be a nice way to add structure to the space, since it's going to be very like kind of eclectic. And I'm a really big fan of formal gardens. So I always like to add an element of structure or symmetry. Over here, this past spring, this is a rhododendron. Still got the tag hanging here. Part of this isn't doing so hot, but there is still good new growth coming in than that. I'm sure it'll take years for this thing to really get going, but it is this blue barren variety. So it's like a purpley blue color, which I've actually never seen in real life until I saw this at the greenhouse nursery. I've only ever seen fuchsia colored rhododendrons. So the fact that this is like purpley blue, I was very excited about that. And then behind that rhododendron, which is right there, is this Japanese maple that I just planted this past fall. It actually seems to be struggling a little bit, but we will see how that does come spring. I am a very big fan of Japanese maples, and they are great for shaded areas. All right, then continuing through here, this is where we'll curve around. I'm gonna do some sort of stepping stone situation. This area right here is where we just planted the daffodils and the bleeding heart. So a bunch of the daffodils are right here, and then I did the bleeding heart, I think like 1, 2, 3, 4, like there's a drift right around this stump. And if you guys have been seeing all this cardboard laying in here, it is because that is what I have been using as like a weed barrier under all of this mulch and dirt and lots of acorns. There's cardboard, which I started in the very early spring of last year. Of course, I'm not going to leave the pieces of cardboard hanging out. That's just kind of how it is for right now until I get this area more established. But slowly I am working on putting more cardboard down, putting topsoil down, putting mulch down. So it's a work in progress, guys. So then here are those azaleas. There's like a nice big cluster here, and there's a couple over here. I had to prune back pretty hard, but eventually between the two clusters of azaleas, what I'd love to do is build a like brick pedestal right here in front of this tree, and either do like a really cool statue or a big urn, kind of like as a focal point right here. What I have plans to do in the next week, or might be the next video, is put some hostas down in here just to kind of fill in this space. And I have lots of hostas in this yard, so there's always some I can go and divide. So then around this corner, this is right where we just planted those tulips. So the pink, taller tulips are gonna be in a big drift right here. And then past this foxglove, I'm obviously gonna kind of create a border along the pathway. I just planted another bleeding heart right here. There's a giant stump from a tree. So I would love to get a big giant planter on top of there. And then on the other side of that, I transplanted this euonymus, which is doing very well actually. So this is the other side of the path entrance, and what I would like to do right between these two is get a nice big archway trellis, so it'll kind of just, you know, really set this pathway off. So here, like I said, arch trellis, walking path, entrance. Hopefully that makes more sense. And then over here, these are all brand new planted just a couple weeks ago. These are hellebores, which I've been wanting in my garden for a while. They are another shade-loving perennial. I'm really thinking I'd like to get a few more. And then here are those, that azalea cluster. And I want to put something behind the hellebores that has a little bit more height. And this side of my shade path garden is all the pachysandra. So I'm gonna leave this alone for the most part. I like the pachysandra. I actually spent pretty much the entirety of this past summer with some sort of poison plant rash, whether it was poison ivy, poison oak, poison sumac, I don't know, but it was definitely from this area because I eradicated all of the weeds out of here over the summer, and it definitely took a toll on my body. I had hives all over, so it has definitely been a labor of love. Hopefully by next summer it will be weed free and I can hopefully keep it pretty maintained. So yeah, that was just a little rundown of my little shade path garden here, so you know what I'm doing, what we're working towards, and you know, hopefully we will see it come to life together this spring. I can't wait, you guys. And then we are now up at my front porch garden. One of the things that I'm working on is essentially naming all of my different like flower garden beds in the yard. I have had 5 little boxwood shrubs up here since pretty much I first worked on this bed. So that's been like 4 years, and they really haven't grown very much. They've stayed really petite, and I kind of am wondering if they're just not getting enough sunlight. So I actually took 2 of them out and have put them over in my new sunbed by the mailbox. So I'm gonna kind of see if they do a little bit better over there. And in the holes left over from those, I am transplanting some very large hostas. If you guys are still with me, just know I truly appreciate it. Like I said, I appreciate you bearing with me as I figure out the direction that I am going with my channel and kind of get into a routine of posting and how I want to create my content. So thanks again for your patience. I hope you will stick with me. I am always open for constructive criticism. So if you see me doing something that you would think is wrong or dumb or anything like that, I want to hear it. And obviously, if you enjoy gardening and home-related content, please make sure you are subscribed to my channel. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!